All right, we've got a team of correspondents in Washington, D.C., in Amman, in Tehran and in Doha, which is where we're going to begin with Victoria Gatenby right here in the Qatari capital. So, Victoria, first up, quite a significant move from Qatar here.
Yeah, some very strong words from Qatar's foreign ministry and completely expected given what's been happening over the past couple of hours with Qatar Energy, the state-owned energy company, confirming that its Ras Laffan industrial complex was targeted by Iranian missiles. Those attacks have caused a fire, which they're now trying to contain. And they say that their emergency rescue operations kicked in straight away, that they're on the site now trying to deal with those fires. But there has been extensive damage as a result of that attack. They say all personnel are safe and accounted for, and there have been no reported injuries at the moment. But this is a massive escalatory attack by Iran. And let me just explain why. Ras Laffan industrial complex, which is on the tip of the peninsula of Qatar. It is a massive industrial complex in the northeast of the country. It is the world's biggest LNG, liquefied natural gas facility. Qatar itself produces around 20% of all LNG supplies that go out globally. Europe in particular rely on LNG supplies from Qatar. The last time that this facility was attacked was almost 2 weeks ago, at the very start of this conflict around March the 2nd. That prompted Qatar Energy to say that it was temporarily pausing LNG production because it said it wanted to protect its vital infrastructure and, of course, its workers. Now, we've had very strong words from Qatar's foreign ministry this evening saying that they condemn and strongly denounce this attack, and they feel that the Iranians are dragging this region into the abyss. They've also announced in the last couple of hours that they are expelling from the country the Iranian military attaché and the Iranian security attaché. They say they are not welcome in the country anymore, and they've given them 24 hours to leave.
OK, let's go from Doha to Tehran. Ali Hashim joins us. Let's pick up on that, those diplomats being expelled from here in Qatar, happening after these Iranian energy facilities were attacked, of course. Does this have any bearing on diplomatic efforts, do you think, to end the war down the line?
Well, Nick, you know, with these diplomats being described as persona non grata in Qatar, this gives an indication how much the Iranian-Qatari relations are going into a critical situation. However, it's clear that the Qataris are going this path step by step, on the contrary to the Iranians, who continue to launch missiles and drones towards Qatar and other countries. Now, when it comes to the attempts to negotiate or for diplomacy, we heard yesterday from the foreign minister in our interview with him that there are no real attempts. There are ideas, and many are offering ideas, but Iran isn't interested in a ceasefire. Rather, it's interested in ending the war completely. And he said clearly that the war in Iran is linked to what the front in Lebanon, to Iraq, to Yemen. So he's putting on a table something like a comprehensive regional peace. So I think to get there, it's going to be a bit complicated. And before we see things changing in the region now, the main mediators, Qatar and Oman, the regional mediators, are under fire. So probably they're not the ones mediating right now, or at least attempting to convey messages or to bridge this huge gap. Actually, the word gap is very, it does not really describe the situation. So the fact now is that there is no negotiations going on. Maybe some message is being conveyed, but who are the mediators right now? This is a big question, actually.
Yeah, not so much a gap as a chasm. Ali, thanks for that for the moment. Victoria, loud explosions heard in the Saudi capital too, as regional foreign ministers, of course, due to hold an emergency meeting in Riyadh.
Yeah, that's right. Over the course of the last few hours, there were reported to be several loud explosions over the capital, Riyadh. The Ministry of Defense later confirming that they had intercepted 4 ballistic missiles. Some of the debris from those interceptions fell around the surrounding area of Riyadh, and they say that 4 people have been injured as a result of that. Now, here in Qatar, the Ministry of Defense in the last few hours has said over the course of the last sort of 12 hours or so, they have intercepted a total of 7 ballistic missiles. They say one of those ballistic missiles was the one that fell on the Ras Laffan industrial complex. And across the region, there have been more attacks today. The UAE say they were targeted with 27 drones and 13 ballistic missiles, and Bahrain saying they were targeted with 10 drones and 1 ballistic missile. And of course, the IRGC have said that they are willing and able to target other energy infrastructure within this region as a result of the Israeli assault on their energy infrastructure on Wednesday. And so those facilities across Saudi Arabia and the UAE and other facilities here in Qatar will be braced potentially for further attacks.
Victoria Gateby here in Doha, thank you. OK, let's remind you of the 3 most senior members of Iran's government who have been killed by Israeli forces in these targeted attacks over the past 2 days. First up, Intelligence Minister Ismail Khatib. He's the latest senior official to be killed in an Israeli strike. He previously worked in the office of the former Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. On Tuesday, Iran's security chief Ali Larijani was killed in an Israeli attack in Tehran. Larijani was appointed Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council. That was last year, and recently said the US-Israeli war set the heart of the Iranian nation ablaze. Then we have Gholam Reza Soleimani, the commander of Iran's internal security unit, Basij. He was also killed by Israeli forces on Tuesday. He was sanctioned by the US and the European Union and other countries for his suspected role in suppressing dissent in Iran. So back to Tehran, Ali. So yet another senior official has been killed, now the intelligence minister. Is this likely to have any effect going forwards on Iran?
Well, this is a symbolic blow to the system, a very symbolic blow, especially that the 3 officials who were killed are related or they worked directly in the security issues. So we have the secretary of the Supreme National Security Council, we have the commander of the Basij, and we have the the Minister of Intelligence. These people are the ones who are supposed to prevent assassinations, and they've been assassinated. This is huge for the system when it comes to symbolism. However, when it comes to day-to-day business, these people are presiding over institutions with several layers under them. And Iran is a very bureaucratic country, so bureaucracy is entrenched in the system. And given this fact, and as we saw with the Supreme Leader's assassination, a huge hit, but at the same time, business as usual, transitional council, then electing a new Supreme Leader. Supreme Leader right now is just doing the work the other Supreme Leader used to do. The same thing will apply to these people. So whoever is going to succeed Ali Larijani in the Supreme National Security Council, there is already someone who is a second in command, who is a second representative of the Supreme Leader at the council, who is actually Saeed Jalili. In the Basij, there's a deputy commander. In the Ministry of Intelligence, there might be a new appointment. So with respect to day-to-day things, it will go now normal. It's just about the symbolic hit. Yet, if this continues to happen layer after layer, then the Islamic Republic will have to face real questions when it comes to who is going to succeed who in the later stages. One last update. We've told you before there was report of an attack, an airstrike in Bandar Anzali, which is on the Caspian Sea. This is the first time we hear of such an airstrike there on a naval base for the Iranian Navy. Also, there are reports of explosions in Karaj and West Tehran.
All right, Ali, thanks for that. Ali Hashim there in Tehran. And as Ali was just saying, Iran has launched another wave of attacks at communities across Israel and the occupied West Bank. These images from central Israel appear to show cluster munitions streaking across the night sky. There have also been reports of strikes on Tel Aviv. In the occupied West Bank, 3 women were killed and other people injured on Wednesday evening after rocket fragments fell on the town near Hebron. Israel has launched new airstrikes targeting Iran's navy. This is what Ali was talking about. Attacks have been reported in Bandar Anzali, a port city in northern Iran on the Caspian Sea. Israel's military says it's the first time it has targeted the north of Iran. Israeli media is reporting several Iranian naval vessels were targeted in the strike. So let's explore all of this now with Rory Chalins, who's live for us from the Jordanian capital of Amman. Hi there, Rory. So first up, just the latest on the situation in Israel with the deaths in Hebron and ongoing strikes.
Yeah, Nick, until now, West Bank communities, Palestinian communities, had injuries and they'd had damage to property, but they hadn't had any deaths. But that has just changed. The updated figure on the deaths in the town of Beit Awa, which is just outside Hebron, is 4 women killed and 6 injured. Apparently, the bomblets or the missile fragment fell on a women's hair salon in the town. That's where the deaths happened. But there are reports of damage elsewhere in that wider Hebron area. Now, in Israel itself, there have been a multitude of different strikes going on in the last hour or so. We've got the Tel Aviv area, where we understand that police, firefighters, and bomb disposal experts are trying to deal with what they're calling unexploded weaponry, fallen weapons, they say. Now, that suggests that, again, these are cluster munition bomblets which have come down to the ground but not actually detonated. 5 people are injured in Jazeera in central Israel, and a man is being critically injured in the South Sharon area. There have been recent barrages right in the south of Israel as well, in the Negev area. Netanyahu, Prime Minister, he offered his condolences to the couple who were killed yesterday in Ramat Gan. They were killed in their flats. They couldn't quite make it to their safe room. They've been named as Yaron and Ilana Moshe. And it's worth also pointing out that Hezbollah has managed to get rockets right down to the south of Israel today, and that is unheard of. That's unprecedented. Never before has Hezbollah managed to get its rockets so far south into Israel.
And what's, Rory, about Israel's offensive on Iran and attacking, apparently, the north for the first time?
So Israel's got 2 tracks at the moment in its operation. One, of course, is to destroy the Iranian military, and the other one is to kill its leaders. And both have accelerated today alongside those strikes against Iran's gas facilities. So, yes, the Israeli military has confirmed that it has been hitting Iranian naval vessels, not in the Gulf, but in the Caspian Sea, in this port city of Bandar Anzali. So that's the first time that the Israelis have struck that far north in Iran, and it opens up a new theatre of sorts. It expands this war from the Gulf area and Iran's major cities right up into the north and into the Caspian Sea. And of course, this comes after Israel has been engaged in this ongoing assassination program. Israel Katz, the defense minister, said earlier on that basically he and Netanyahu had been talking, and they have given carte blanche to the Israeli military to assassinate any senior figure in the Iranian structure hierarchy if they have the intelligence and the opportunity. It's essentially a standing kill order that they can go for it. They don't need any further sign-off. So, as he put it in his own words, no one in Iran has immunity. That's what the defense minister said, and he promised also significant developments in the war that will further escalate things. That was a reference to the strikes against the gas facilities, which of course have had such wider repercussions in the Gulf area so far.
Yeah, indeed. All right, Rory, thanks for that. Rory Chalins there in Amman in Jordan.